Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Infinite Podcast. It's been a very, very interesting week this week. There's a lot of things happening. Before we jump into that, we gotta welcome our guest back. How you doing, Arielle? How's things? How's your week been? What have you been up to?
Oh my gosh, it's so wonderful to be back. Thank you for inviting me again. First and foremost, I was like, you invited me like an hour ago, and I was like, okay, I gotta get some together because I wanted to talk about the topics that you were discussing. So I was like, yes, let's go. So, but everything has been good, kind of chaotic. GamerGate has been quite interesting to deal with on that end, but also I've been kind of slowing things down and relaxing and taking my mental health more seriously. So,
And not feeding the trolls. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming through. It was a bit of a tight squeeze. We don't have Blue this week, guys. She's got a work thing happening, so she couldn't make it. And then I was just a bit busy. I didn't have a chance to run around and invite a whole bunch of people. So, but Arielle pulled through for us. So really, really appreciate. Donte, welcome back. How's your week been? What have you been up to? How's things?
What's up? Hey, Arielle, thank you for deciding to come on. I know it's short notice, but we're really grateful that you were able to step in. So we appreciate that. My week has been pretty good, man. I don't got any major complaints. I finally finished Dragon's Dogma 2 in terms of like completely finished. Did the true ending. So like I think now I'm about to get my first taste of a Fallout game, and I'm probably going to start up Fallout 4 now that the update came out. So outside of that, man, things are great. Happy to be here.
So what you gotta play that game from what my understanding, because I booted up Dragon's Dogma, right? And then I was like, this is just going to be an epic long, and I can't face it right now, sort of thing. But so you're telling me you've got to play it twice?
You can.
So if you want the true end, you've got to do it. You've got to go.
Put like that. There's a true an additional part to the end game where you have a decision to make, and depending on if you do that decision, you can go back into New Game Plus, or you can go into the true end game. And so the first time I did it, I went into New Game Plus, which is kind of cool because it allows you to go to a particular vendor where you can get some in-game gear and then set stuff up so that way when you go into the actual true end game, when you beat it again, I kind of set stuff up, mainlined it to the end again. And then when I went to the true end game, I had everything I needed. Like my gear was fully leveled. I have my port crystals every place that I need to be. So that way I can just focus on what the task is at hand for the true end game. So yeah, you could easily miss that though. So
All right, cool. Umbra, welcome back. How's your week been? What have you been up to? How's things? How's the fix? He's asleep.
Umbra, where are you?
Hey, wiki.
He's 100.
Oh, the fix is good. You guys can't hear me, right?
There you go.
Now we can.
There you are.
Just wanted to make sure you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
And he's gone again.
Damn.
It's weird, Risk. I'm getting feedback. I'm hearing myself now.
Oh, well, yeah, it'd be an audio setting for you. You'd have to click, unless I've got the wrong audio up, but I don't think anyone else has got you need to just click on echo cancellation and you should be good. But hey, you like hearing your own voice, man. So I don't know if that's a problem.
Hey, Gray Monad says my voice is low. Gray, how's that sound? I just turned it up a little bit. Is it better?
Oh, awesome. All right. Are you back now, Umbra? Umbra?
I'm still here, but I'm messing with the settings.
All right. Well, we'll just say hello to everyone and what you've been up to this week, and then we'll jump into topics. Or we
Okay.
good.
Can you, yeah. Yeah. This is horrible on my end. I have to let you know. So yeah, thanks everybody for being here. Arielle, thank you for joining us. As
Yeah.
far as my week, it has been a decent week. I had a really good show on Thursday with my boy Crusader, and when also Dusty, who joined me last second, and we talked about some of the things I'm guessing we're going to talk about tonight. And earlier today, I was on Ham's podcast, him and Loke and Cozy, and we had a 10 panelists talk on air about the whole situation, and it was really, really good and in depth, and enjoyed that. And I think it was really important to have. I think this is an important discussion to have because there are some bad actors in this, and it's taking it in a really, really bad direction, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy to be here with you guys tonight.
Hopefully you get those audio issues sorted out, man. Yeah, it is. We do want to jump into that. I'm having a bit of an issue with linking to the this side to YouTube as well. So I don't know what's going on in the background, but I can't for some reason bring up chats. But BT Maverick with a $10 super chat, he said he wanted to pay it forward to our great community with a free copy of Zao on the Xbox Series, and it's good in America, Germany, France. And he said, "Wake up, Umbra." So thank you, BT Maverick. You're an absolute legend. I'll see if I can get this thing linked on the other side. But on top of that, we are also giving away 3 copies of Zao. So if you want a copy of Zao, all you need to do is type hashtag Zao in the chat. And later on, we'll be dropping a copy. We'll just do it sporadically through the show. And also, we got coins to give away. So we got a bit of a busy giveaway week this week. And let's jump into the topics. Myself, personally, I've been playing a lot of Tomb Raider. I actually didn't realize that I hadn't played it. So what happened is it dropped on Game Pass, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good one. I booted up the previous Tomb Raider that dropped in Game Pass. I can't remember the name of that one. But I played that, and I'm like, yeah, I've definitely played this. I played it for a bit, dropped it. And then this Tomb Raider, I'm like, oh, I might boot this one up because this is the 2018, right? So like it's going to be looking better. It's going to be looking nicer. I can't remember, like what happened in it. So maybe I'll boot it up. Booted it up, realized I haven't played it. I'm like, how have I missed this? One of my favorite franchises. I'm like, how have I missed this game? Unbelievable, but it is a great game. I haven't even gotten to playing Zao yet. So yeah, but I haven't played a hell of a lot this week. It's been really, really busy at work. So I've just been trying to get through life a little bit, but I'm hoping in the next couple of months I'm going to have some time to play a little bit more. Let's jump into the topic. So yeah, as Umbra mentioned, some stuff came up this week where Zao, which is a game from a small indie studio. I can't remember the name of the studio right now, but I did make a video about it from a guy, Abu Bakar. Can't remember his last name. I'm great this week, aren't I? I'm all over it. Anyway, he dropped the game and there was a little bit of a kick up. So Cabrutus, who runs a Steam curated page. Surgeon Studios. That's the one. So Cabrutus, who runs a Steam curator page called Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, tagged this game on Twitter. And again, GamerGate 2.0 sort of kicked off once again. Bit of a DEI issue. People not, saying they're not going to touch the game because Sweet Baby Inc.'s involved. And I have a bit of a... we've talked about this a few times, and I have a bit of a sort of a nuanced opinion on this. But I believe the movement, and this is something that we talked about earlier on when this was popping off, a month ago, is I believe the movement's been hijacked or is very easily going to get hijacked by racists, which I think is what's happening. And I think if you're Cabrutus, you sort of have a bit of at this point. He's grown from like a small Twitter following to a huge Twitter following. I think he's got 27,000 followers, and his Sweet Baby Detected has a lot of followers. I think you've got a responsibility to sort of look at which games you're putting into that list. So I do think there's a little bit of blame from him. That could be argued. But I also think you need to use a bit of critical thinking when looking at these games. Like, what has Sweet Baby Inc. done in this game that's so egregious? I understand it from a lot of points of view. I did make a video about this, so you can go check that out. And I'll jump to the panel, and then we'll go around and see what you guys sort of think of this latest GamerGate faux pas. Arielle, where are you at with Zao, Sweet Baby Inc. in general? what are your thoughts on DEI within the industry?
So I actually did a podcast with this on the subject with my friend Khalif. We discussed a lot of the things that are going on with DEI, and the fact of the matter is that DEI is actually helping the industry, not hurting it. It comes to a point of where people have to understand that DEI is a consulting firm. They actually just advise the industry creatives and the companies on the storytelling bits, what's being put into the games, like if something is culturally accurate or not. They're not controlling anything of the games at all whatsoever, which is why it makes me kind of laugh that these idiots are actually putting as much into this as they are, because all of these racists know what they're doing. They know the initiative that they're trying to spread, and they're trying to take advantage of what's going on. The fact of the matter is like when we look at DEI and when we look at Sweet Baby Inc., they didn't do anything wrong. They literally came after someone who was making a list that was compiling games that had used their company that was a consulting firm. Like it's absolutely insane to me what's going on here. Like let's say for example, I'm Jewish, right? So I'm going to consult, let's say if I were a part of like a consulting firm, right? I would consult on what things are accurately representative of the Jewish culture or not. And the same thing goes for someone who is Black, who is Indian. They're basically just telling the companies, the game studios, what is accurate and what isn't, so they can hopefully fix some things here and there, whatever's going on, right? Depending on what story you're trying to convey to the player.
Yeah, well, see this. Look, I do have a bit of a thing about sort of not Sweet Baby Inc. in general. So I think there's some people within Sweet Baby Inc. that I'm not like. There's been some things on Twitter that they've said that are just pretty outrageous for me. So whether or not they're the right ones, let's sort of talk about this from the idea of a consultancy firm and how that works, right? So for me, if you're trying to achieve true diversity, equity, and inclusion, and you're a consultancy firm in Montreal with 13 people, I don't think that works. Like logistically, how do you bring true DEI into games unless you're an expert in that particular region, right? So I guess my point is do they have an Australian there? Do they have a Swedish person there? Do they have an Indian? And if they don't, how do they source the information? And why couldn't I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate. Why couldn't game studios do that for themselves? Like, why is that a necessary? I don't want to call it an evil, but why is it a necessary evil? I guess is the problem that I have with a consultancy firm doing this. On the other hand, this is not a bad thing to attempt, right? Like this is something that's needed. Like I 100% think we need more diversity, equity, and inclusion within the industry. And I think it's how we get there and how we do it that's the most important. But when it comes to Sweet Baby Inc., I can completely understand people's problem with Sweet Baby Inc. There's been a lot of stuff, as I said, that came out on Twitter I wouldn't call kosher, for want of a better word. Stuff that you shouldn't, or I don't agree with personally from a political standpoint. And if you are wondering what my political views are, I'm a centrist. So I'm neither left nor right. I think whoever's got the best idea wins. But yeah, I can understand people's problem, but I think you've got to use a bit of critical thought, right? We're talking about a game at this point that was made by a Black man with a Black protagonist with stories from his culture that his father handed down to him. Like, how is having a diversity and equity and inclusion consultancy firm a bad thing on this game? Like, what? I just don't understand the kickback. I think you've got to be a little bit more nuanced when you look at these games instead of just blanket banning everything that Sweet Baby's done. I don't think you can do that, like, in good conscience. Donte, I know we've talked about this a lot, and I don't want to sit on this topic for too long because we have talked about it previously, but it is something that definitely needs talking about. Where are you at with this whole Zhao Sweet Baby thing?
It's unfortunate. It shows us that we still have very far to go. Fortunately, I think bad actors hijack their moment, right? because this should have been kind of like a celebratory thing for a very like a young studio trying to put out a project that's a passion project for them, and basically seeing a different storytelling and viewpoint from a different region within the world. The fact that it becomes an issue about SBI, just a way to kind of diminish it from the bad actors, which is it's very very unfortunate, and it's actually pretty frustrating. And it's you want to hope that we kind of evolve and grow as people, but for some reason it seems like there's a segment of certain people out there who want to continue to spread misery even in the things that we want to enjoy, which is gaming. Like, so my a thing on SBI, like, their job as a company is, as Arielle said, they're a consulting firm. So it's a studio's job to go out and say, we're going to hire a consulting firm to come in and do something that we don't feel we have the ability to do. So why are we getting upset at them for doing a job that they are being contracted to do?
Exactly.
They're getting paid for something that a company is reaching out to them saying, hey, we need something from you. We need this take, whatever their focus is or whatever they're asking for. They're getting paid to do a particular job. It's ultimately the job of the studio to kind of determine the narrative as to what their story is going to be and whatever characters are going to put on it. SBI is just basically doing what they're being paid to do. So I can understand, some people feeling a certain way if they feel like things, if you feel that like, oh, something was dramatically changed that ruined a particular story, okay, maybe I can hear your argument. But a lot of these things that I'm seeing recently tend to be a common denominator. It's either a woman or a person of color. That's when we have a problem with it. Instead of addressing it,
Kalunga, god of death, hear my plea. And why, Zhao, have you called me
music?
to the realm of the living? It is told that there are 3 great spirits who have denied you.
We'll address it.
Yeah, there we go. All right. But yeah, so like so like that comes in and hijacks the situation, and all of a sudden, for something that we should have been kind of cool to check out. Like, I saw Rand talk about it earlier, where he played it, and he was actually just able to talk about what he liked about the game and things that he felt that they could have done a little bit better. And I wish those could be the conversations that we're having. Instead, it's basically, people just throwing out this word DEI or throwing out SBI, and then that's a trigger word for everyone to kind of jump on who don't fully understand the nuances of this. And then it becomes something that basically takes away from this young studio just trying to make it in the industry and put out something that they're hoping people would be able to enjoy and play. And so it's yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like we've been having this conversation the last few weeks, or at least the last few months, because of the current temperature. I'm hoping that we'll get to a point where we can kind of move on past this and just kind of enjoy these projects that come out. But right now, this was just another sad reminder that as we still have a lot further to go as people when it comes to accepting each other and just being able to enjoy art that's out there, especially in the gaming community.
Well, this is the thing that sort of that really sort of bothered me, because my previous take on this, it hasn't really changed. I want to see diversity, equity, and inclusion, but I also want to see it done right. And I think that's the really nuanced conversation. It's the conversation that we had like recently, like, hey, let's not swap this character's race for this, because this character has a backstory and you can't do that with this particular character, and so on. So for instance, I think we're talking about Magneto, right? So Magneto is Jewish, went through the Holocaust, and that's a big part of Magneto's personality, right? So that's the thing you can't really sort of swap. And I get that. We're having these conversations, and in these conversations, mine being genuine, what always comes up is like, hey, why don't we have a new IP with, a fresh character, that is diverse? So why don't we do that? And what bothers me is hugely about this is that this is what's been done. This is a new studio built from the ground up by the creator with a new character and a new fresh story that is from a different background, like nothing that's we've seen before with I think it's Bantu, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce that. Bantu law, built a new universe. And it's exactly what they always ask for. These sort of bad actors, they're always doing make something of your own, get a studio of your own, do it for yourself. This dude's done it, and we're still here having this conversation, and we shouldn't be having this conversation. That's where I think the nuance needs to come in for the guy who's putting together that list. Is like, sure, Sweet Baby worked on it, like, and if that's your hard line, I guess that's okay. Everyone has their own, but I think you need to be a bit more nuanced with the games that you put in there. Like, realistically, Umbra, want to jump to you. Hopefully, your audio issues are still are all sorted out by now. Check. Or he's sleeping.
Umbra!
1 potato, 2 potato.
Waiting.
That just cut it. I don't know why that made me laugh.
So listen,
There he goes. There he goes.
so you guys will know there is a major delay going on for me. Oh yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think he
So
just
am I
mic
still
dropped.
talking?
No,
I think
it's a crazy delay for me, guys. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm getting feedback too of myself, so I don't know what to say. But anyway,
yeah, we're all waiting.
We're listening.
Riskit, ask me the question
Umbra, do you
again,
wanna-
man, so I
do you
can
wanna-
try to say this in one fell swoop.
Damn, yeah.
Yeah, so where are you at with the DEI, the whole Zao thing? How are you feeling about it? It is a crazy delay. You must.
Okay, so I'm delayed, so you all have to forgive me. As far as the whole Zao thing, I think it's pretty damn ridiculous. It's pretty clear.
It's okay. You got this.
This hurts me more than it hurts you.
Just keep going with your roll. Keep going with your roll.
It's like once you start talking, it cuts off after like you say 4 or 5 things, bro. I'm spitting. Yeah, tell him your peace of mind, fam. Tell him how you feel.
That laugh seems to come out of nowhere, right when you were just saying that. Anyway, listen, the whole thing is really stupid, and this won't work, man. I have to step out and try to come back or something.
Absolutely,
yeah,
definitely.
that's how you come back in, bro. Yeah, leave and come back in.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah, Umbra feels this is stupid, just like the connection is stupid. So I agree with Umbra. It's stupid.
Yeah, look, let's jump into while we're waiting for Umbra. Let's jump into a quick giveaway. If you guys type Zao in the chat, #Zao, and we'll do the first giveaway for a Zao code. Anything on Steam and Xbox. Unfortunately, I can't get PlayStation codes, so yeah. It's either Xbox or Steam. Let me know your preference if you win in the chat. I don't know if we've got any Zaos in the chat, though, to be honest. But I'll do one. Oh, here we go. All right, cool. We got some Zaos happening. Sabow. Hopefully Umbra's can get his connection sorted. I'll send him through a thing ready to go. Zao. I'll give you guys 2 more minutes. Oh boy. And hit the button. Here we go. I'm hitting the button and it's not working. Wow, this thing is it's not we're not having a good day with this thing at the moment.
Technology is not being our friends today.
Technology is not technologing.
Why won't you work?
I feel like that Arthur meme right now, just making the fist as he's walking away.
I think so, yeah.
All right, I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way. I'm going to literally point at the screen with my eyes closed.
Oh my god.
Scorpio! You have won a code. Let me know which platform you want it on. Yeah, I blame the fix too. I don't know what's going on there. Let's see if Umbra's back and up and running. Umbra, have you got your delay still? Where are you at?
It was Scorpio, right?
It was Scorpio. Scorpio
Right.
is the winner.
Congrats, Scorpio.
So excited. I can't wait to play that game.
Oh, man. Yeah, look, I just got to get through Tomb Raider to get it played. Honestly, it's, when you're like also doing I do this thing where I do all the side missions. I've got to get everything done. Like I don't 100% the game, but I have to do all the side missions. And you get to that point with every open world game where you're just like maybe I should just mainline this because it's starting to get boring. But I do it to myself, and then occasionally I'll just drop off a game. Umbra, are you back with us?
Mic drop.
Nah, not yet.
No, I don't think he is. I think he might be listening to the YouTube sound and not the actual.
Can you guys hear me at all?
Yes.
Yeah,
we got you.
Can
you hear us? And is there a delay?
Still happening.
No, it's still not happening.
He's still delayed.
Okay. So if you want to fix a delay, go over to your audio and then
I can hear you guys, and there still is a delay. Yeah.
No.
If you haven't yet, go over to your audio and then untick the echo cancellation and the stereo audio input. That should fix it.
Yeah, I just have background noise reduction as the only thing selected.
If you haven't yet,
yeah, that might be the issue. I know who is that? Who I can hear someone and I can hear that in the background.
Yeah, that's me that's echoing for some reason.
He's reconnecting. Sorry, guys, we'll get through these audio issues.
Is it okay if I reply back to a comment that someone just made?
Absolutely.
So the Element Hero commented, why not have Garuda or Grums on because they would give you an information. I have to just say, because I'm very determined to get the point across that these guys are not going to give you any information. They are grifters of the highest form. Like these guys' communities attack journalists like us. They attack people who are community managers. So no, they're not going to give you any information. They're just going to spew out the hatred that they have been spewing on Twitter. So no. I'm very bullheaded whenever it comes to this. Yeah, it's about the engagement. And same with Asmongold. I mean, I don't mean to name drop like that, but it's the same thing. Like grifters are going to grift, and it's not going to be it's not something that's beneficial to anyone, because he literally came after people who I know in the industry I'm friends with, and he would tag them. He knew he has a big following. Grums knows he has a big following, and yet he tags people who have nothing to do with the situation, and his community will go after them, which is harassment. Like it's insane.
Yeah, Elemental Man. Giving first off, wouldn't want to have that on the show, but giving that type of energy to people who are bad actors just kind of legitimizes their point.
So how delayed am I? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear us? I guess not. This is all because you changed your name to Stella Umbra. I'm blaming the name change.
Yeah.
I'm blaming the name.
Yeah. So what I was going to say to
very delayed. I'm hearing it on my
in the chat there is look,
I'm gonna reboot again. I know, right?
Oh, it's so delayed on his end. I can hear the echoing of our conversation.
Super delayed. It's mad delayed.
I can hear the echo. Yeah. I might just do a quick refresh on my side as well and see if that works. Hopefully it doesn't break anything else.
All by myself.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, it's
I'm
great.
so lonely.
Can
so
you hear me
Oh my
now?
One is the loneliest number. All right, hey, are we back?
I think we're back. I think we're definitely
Are
back.
we back? Can you guys hear us?
Yeah.
I'm
They had a quick
sorry.
Super Trooper.
God damn it.
I'll send him another invite as well, so that hopefully he comes in off that. And see if that works. Yeah, look, so what I was saying before about Grumps, they're not onto something. Like they are not, it's not like this crazy conspiracy. So, like, I have no doubt that like all the links that has sort of been made up to, I have no doubt that BlackRock does supply money for DEI. But I don't necessarily think it's like game developers like on their knees begging they must have Sweet Baby, otherwise they can't put their game together. That's just not happening. Like it's an added bonus that they might get a little bit of cash from on the side. I would believe that would be a thing. There's always kickbacks for lots of little different things for within business. It happens all the time. But Grums, I think, is just completely out of order. I mean, as well, the other thing about these guys is they're not looking at the games individually and what's been done within the games. Like it's crazy to me. Like you look at Zhao and I think to myself, like this is a story from Abu himself, passed down through his family, and I don't know. There's no issue with this game. There should have been no issue with this game. This game is the game that people have been bitching that they wanted. They're like, we want a new IP, we make your own, blah, 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 all that stuff. That's what's happened. And here we are. We're having the conversation again. Doesn't make any sense to me at all. Umbra, have your audio issues fixed up? I don't know.
I hope so.
Yo,
we can hear you now.
You can hear us?
Okay.
It's on. Yeah, it's real time.
Oh,
ladies and gentlemen, round of applause.
Yay.
All right.
We got this. Finally.
To the wire.
We are the champions of the world.
Finally.
We are the champions. All right.
Umbra, get your bars off now that you're back and you can finally weigh in on this.
Yes.
Riskit, you need to rephrase the question for me
again. Yeah, set me up for this, Riskit, so I can answer this properly.
Yeah, so again, what I was saying, so me and you, we very much align on the DEI stuff. Like we don't want characters swapped that are beloved characters in comic books or movies or whatever else it is, right? We don't want to see diversity done wrong. But we still want it within the gaming community. We want it done the right way. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that at all. I don't think that that's a racist thing to think. I think that it's just having beloved IPs, and this is, we don't mess with our IPs. Nothing wrong with that at all, in my view, and we align on that, I think. But when you have an IP that is brand new, ground up, and brings in an outside sort of diverse look at a different culture, and there's still a problem with it, at some point you got to start thinking, hang on a minute, this is at this point been hijacked. This is a racist. This is a problem, right?
Yeah, at a point, it's pretty obvious that there are bad actors that got into this and are pushing their own agendas for whatever reason. This Grums guy, I don't know why people are still trying to defend this idiot. Like, have you seen the newest thing he did where he has this petition going for they changed Stellar Blade? We don't quite see the crevices of her junk good enough. And are you crazy? Like stuff like that. This is a fully grown, like 50-year-old man doing this. It's pretty obvious that he's trying to appeal to the emotions of those that are, jumping out of the window based off some poor things that lady or whomever in Sweet Baby had said. And he's playing into that, and he's playing into a lot of these large overreactions to that and making it and exacerbating it. My whole thing is you're right. I don't care for, and I'm a long time comic reader. I'm a long time gaming fan and gamer. I don't like swaps of anything. I don't want you to suddenly retcon a character to be something else that they shouldn't be. I don't want you to change their gender. I don't want you to suddenly like change years and decades worth of story for them that you now suddenly there's something else. I absolutely get when people don't like that, and I don't think you need to do that to make a good character. There are plenty of great new characters, and there are plenty of other characters that are created. Miles, for instance, was created by Brian Michael Bendis, who created him in the Ultimate Universe. A lot of people were like, "What? Why you got this guy here?" At the time, and you got Peter, you just killed off basically. And but look how beloved Miles is now by everybody, right? Because you built on that foundation of it and you kept going with him. You can do that and make a new legacy character after Peter and that sounded wrong. Do him right. Yeah, you can do it. You
What was
can
that?
do pause, no diddy.
Sorry.
You can do right by him. And presenting them. Like you say, I think there are wrong ways to go about it, and again, that would go to where you are swapping out an established character or something like that to make them this other thing. Now, there are some points where I don't care, right? Like if there's some random side character, you're not going to be seeing me like, "Don't you dare change NPC number 3 over there." I'm not going to really be that concerned. But if it's
Man, NPC
mainstays,
number 3 was fire though, dog.
yeah, right. But if it's
Backstory.
mainstay characters, I would prefer that they leave them as B. Like make a new character. It's perfectly fine to make a new character in that instance. And what you're right about, Risk, is that these guys, Abubakar Salim and his studio, Surgeon, they made a brand new IP, a new character. Something that he did that's based off of his father, and he's telling a story based on that. And people are still like, "Well, SBI, they were involved." And listen, I get it to a degree. If you're saying I don't like Sweet Baby enough and the things they said in the past and what they stand for bother me enough where I won't support anything that they've touched, I can understand that. I'm not going to get mad at you for that. However, I think the message has been diluted and changed, and it's because of those bad faith actors again. Uh, but again, it's become really, really toxic. We've seen it all online. The discourse is muddled and confused and angry. I mean, there was a guy that was in your thread, Risk, and you saw that who was saying all types of manner of ad hominem attacks and insults your way based
Oh,
off nothing more than you saying, "I'm going to give away the codes for this game."
Right.
Oh wow.
So, and then of course they later some idiot infiltrated his Discord and started posting a bunch of racist memes and stuff like that in videos back to back to back. He just started spamming it.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Right,
happen.
ridiculous.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen in a vacuum of nothing. That comes from a buildup of stupidity. So those who are in this weird, I don't know, this weird logical flux where they feel like I have to support this idiot Grums all of a sudden, it's bizarre. This dude is not on the right side of anything. Look at everything he speaks on. It's negativity. No matter which way you look at it, every single thing he talks about is based on negativity. I dare you to find something where he's saying something that was really positive and not tongue in cheek positive either. Like,
Yeah.
Stellar Blade got this going with all this going. Like, that's the only thing you'll ever find with him speaking positive, where it's something he can rub in somebody else's face that it'll be a negative to them. That's it. Everything else is to be negative. And he was negative from the moment we found out about him when he started talking about freaking UI screens in Starfield. Remember that?
right, yeah.
So this dude is a weirdo. Stop propping him up. I don't want to get his view and anything in his side of the story. He doesn't have a story. He's a grifter. He's only there to grift. It'd be like me asking, bringing Harvey Weinstein in and being like, "Hey, so give us your side. I know what you are about already. I don't need to hear what you got to say. I know what you did. Not all of these people lied on you." But it's ridiculous, and this discourse has changed so dramatically. And for those who have legitimate gripes against SBI, it has been again, exacerbated by those who are using you to push and propagate hate, and it's really unfortunate. And then that's carried on in so many different ways. Again, there was a weirdo who I found it because somebody else linked it to me, and he had used the characters for Warhammer. So Warhammer have these custodies, they call them, one of their classes of warriors, right? Who are best, I guess, protect the emperor. And they call them, I think it's in cities, I forgot the name, but it's custodies, like custodians. And in the lore, they were always just male, right? Because typically the males were the only ones that could withstand the procedures that would turn them into these warriors in the lore. And even the males had trouble doing it. Well, now GameWorks with Warhammer, they had changed it and they allowed a lady custodian now. People are having a meltdown over that, and they are ticked. And this one, I've seen plenty of people, DEI and SBI, and they're like, Black Rock, you got Black Rock, you got them involved. I'm taking back my Warhammer Plus subscription. I didn't know Warhammer Plus existed. But they got, this dude posted all of his stuff, all my thousands of dollars. I'm taking it back. And again, I think is very volatile. And this dude did an AI art picture of this rotund. That's the nice way to put it. This rotund black Warhammer custody girl, I guess.
She was a large lady.
She's pretty large, right? She's larger than life. She
Not
looked.
anything wrong with that.
Hey, listen, listen. I almost said something. I had to stop myself. Anyway, he used this AIR and he made her black and everything. And I'm like, why are you dragging us into it? And then it's a hate-filled thing. Like, oh, look, they made a custodian. She's black, fat, and a woman is a custodian. Be mad. And it's like, why are you dragging us into this nonsense? And the funniest part about it, I thought she looked pretty cool, actually, in the armor they gave her. She had a little fat armor on and everything. She looked pretty cool in it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. She's fat. But she looked cool in her fat armor. And she had a little rainbow arm shoulder pad thing. And I'm like, oh, you went all for all the key.
She looked like she could do some damage.
Yeah. But they went for all the key, like hatred and bigoted spots for rainbow flag colors, black woman. They went for all of it in that one image. I'm like, wow. And some people are like, oh, this is disgusting. Yeah, how dare GameWorks do this? And I'm like, you all don't see how these idiots are using you. These bad faith actors are jumping in and using you to boost themselves. Obviously, they're getting something out of it. They're monetizing those threads and those tweets that they post.
Well, I mean, what you're saying here is it's been completely hijacked, right?
It has been hijacked in a lot of ways.
When you take nuance out of stuff, and then you just turned it into, people like Grums understand that, especially like in the social network sphere of people getting onto Twitter or whatever particular platform, it's negative information that they're going to get the most traction for. Negative headlines, negative comments, a negative spin on something, right? So it's kind of like, it says more about people to pay attention to that and to actually like follow that type of stuff. Me personally, is like, there's enough going on in people's regular lives to be negative about. Why do I need to kind of consume more of that on a social network platform? Like, why, you know what I'm saying? Like, why am I digging deeper into that? And Grubbs understands that, and people of his ilk understand that. So it's just, it's kind of like, I can't even take him serious on anything he has that would have a potential positive point, because I know what your grift is about. So why am I going to give you the oxygen? It is a grift. It is specifically to kind of engage and evoke an emotion from people. And then people fall for the trap. And next thing you know, you see them trending and stuff. And it's like, we got to be better to ignore people like that. Let's have actual decent conversations. Decent conversations, they involve nuance, subtlety. You can't just basically make blanket statements to basically sit there and apply it to everybody within the industry or every game that gets made and developed for. But like that's the harder thing to do. It's easier for people just to be like, oh, such and such took that trash, boycott it. This is
It's
completely
silly and
behind that.
it's reductive, as they would say, right, Donte? It
Mhm.
is. I agree with you 100%. And Elemental Hero, I know. I think you're a good person. Generally, having been in many chats I've seen you in. But you're saying he has the same info, for instance, as the Cabrutus guy who made the DEI now and SBI detected thing. Listen, again, I understand if people had a problem with Sweet Baby Inc. I understand 100% that some of those comments may have rubbed somebody the wrong way. If I would have heard it in reverse, and let's say they were saying it about black people, yeah, I would have felt the way. I can tell you that right now. So I can understand if any of our white brothers, for instance, are feeling the way. I get it. I don't know. I have to do more research into that because I feel like it's been such a information campaign that I'm wondering what was said in truth, right? But
And what the
yeah,
context.
Yeah, I
but
actually do want to say something though, just
yeah,
really quickly though. He's saying no one is attacking or anything. Excuse me? What is the harassment that me and my kind are facing then? What is the
Exactly.
harassment that
Just look
that
at the
Grums is
thread.
throwing?
Yeah, look at Riskit's post and just see the thread
Like,
of Riskit's post of that type of fervor it's kicked up of people basically going
yeah.
Yeah, so
crazy.
If there was no one attacking, then I wouldn't mind the conversations, but people go to such an emotional lowest of the low levels a lot of the time. Like, I have to delete so much of the stuff underneath some of my tweets. I keep everything. I screenshot everything and I let my local PD even know what's going on. It's gotten so bad. Like, if there weren't any attacking,
it's ridiculous.
it's just become to a point of where, like, to say that there's nothing happening is insane.
there
Yeah,
is there is 110% a massive amount of attacks. And listen, I'm generally quite used to it. Like I've dealt with it for quite like a long time. I get it all the time. I get threats for this, threats for that, threats for it's basically a daily occurrence for me. However, here's the problem is that we're removing the nuance from the conversation. Well, we aren't removing the nuance. The nuance is being removed from the conversation by the hijacking. And I said this on Kay Asante's show that this is very likely to happen, and it has happened. And I could see it coming. Now, listen, I can also, from the other side of DEI, because hey, I'm an old white guy with red hair. You don't get much whiter, right? But I've had instances where DEI has negatively affected me, and I'll give you a real world example, right? So that you know that I'm very centrist on this, and everything's a case by case thing with nuance, right? So I was looking to switch jobs. I was what you would call a shot firer, so I handled explosives at the time. I don't anymore. And I was looking to shift over to another company. It was a good company. This company has a DEI target for 2025 of 50% women. That target started in, and this is a mining company, so it's predominantly a man-dominated industry. So at the time, they weren't meeting their targets, right? And so I rang up a friend of mine who was a fairly high up supervisor. I guess you would call him middle management. So I said, look, man, I'm looking to shift over, and I see you're looking for shot firers, and I was a very good shot firer. He's like, man, I'd love to take you on, but I got one question for you. I said, what's that? He said, do you have a vagina? And I was like, excuse me? And he's like, if you're not a woman, you're not getting a job here. That's just not happening. I was like, you kidding me? He's like, nah. He goes, they're pushing for 50% women. And I'm like, yeah, I know that, but like, they're not going to just discriminate to get there. And he's like, they are. All right. So that's a way that DEI has negatively affected me personally because I wanted that job, right? And it's probably an unrealistic target, right? And I say that to say, from that point on, I could have gone down the path of the Grums, all these guys, and been like, DEI is ruining the fucking world and it's just destroying everything, and it's not the case. That is not an example of DEI being bad. That is an example of diversity, equity, and inclusion being done wrong. And that's the difference. There's a nuanced conversation here to be had. Like, how do we do this? You know, what's the right way to do this? What's an ethical way to do this? What's giving everybody the opportunities? Like, it really bothers me when you have a bad experience or you've had a bad experience, and then from that you base your entire opinion from that one experience, or maybe a couple, and you can't see nuance within the conversation. I think Donte is 110% right. Like, there's a nuanced conversation to be had there. You know, and when it comes to DEI, like we will move on from this topic very, very soon. But when it comes to DEI, like, I think this is my personal take on how they should do this. There's no fixing the problem now. And so consultancy firms are needed, right? Because there is no hard fix right now. Like, there's no way that we just influx diversity and everything is okay. It's just not going to happen, right? But if, as starting from this point now, or starting from, you know, a recent times, having the right programs to bring people in, to educate, to give them the skills to work within the industry in communities that need it, I think is the way to start. And in the interim, I think consultancy firms are needed. Do I think that Sweet Baby Inc. is the firm to do the job? No, I don't. I really don't like some of the things that they've said online. And Umbra 110% agree. I mean, if you it doesn't matter what color it is that you say. You can say white, you can say black. It's what follows that I look at. And to me, that's context. So, like, white people are shit, right? That doesn't matter. You could have said black, you could have said brown, you could have said whatever color you want. After the context of what follows that, to me, is like, it doesn't matter what color you said. So that's sort of my general take on DEI in the world, because this is the other thing. A lot of these guys are like, keep politics out of my gaming. You guys are fucking bringing it in. Like, you've turned this into a full political thing, because you guys are turning it into a conspiracy theory that it's not. Like, just if everyone could just start using that thing that's 3 feet above their ass, then I would be happy. That's your brain, by the way. I would be a much happier person. And I'm always going to push back on, if I see BS, and I know it causes me a lot of background BS, but like, if I see it, I'm going to call it out. So this one for me, I definitely had to call out. Look, I want to quickly go around the panel if you guys want to add anything else, and then we'll move on to the next topic, because this one is hot button. Arielle?
Yeah, I'm gonna give my opinion on myself on that one, because I know I'm gonna get some shit on Twitter if I say what I actually want to say. So I'm just gonna keep my opinions on myself when it comes to certain comments and stuff that you said, because I don't need the stress. I have enough stress already. So
Gotcha. I mean, nothing at all you want to add?
I do, but I know it's something that's going to cause unnecessary chaos along
Well, just know that
the lines.
it's not with us. So I want you to feel free to speak your mind. Just know
I'll
that
be
it's
honest,
not
I'm
from us.
scared. I'm
We're not
scared of
judging
not
you.
of you guys, but of what
Okay.
people are going to do. That's what I'm scared
Gotcha.
of.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
If you
Fair
feel that
enough.
way, definitely don't feel
Yeah, fair
pressure
enough.
to say anything. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is I'll say it for you. Specifically not I don't know what you were going to say, to be fair. So any weirdo ready to go and attack her, please don't. I think part of it is that idiots, like I said, get kind of wrapped up in this. And I'm not calling any of you all here in the chat idiots specifically, because I don't think you are necessarily, hopefully. But some get too wrapped up in it, and they say, hey, this person is this thing. They're shields. They're working with them against us. And all of that. That's when you have to start to pull yourself back to reality after a second, back to life, back to reality. Because at that point, you're too far gone when you start thinking these conspiracy theories and you take them to the next level like that. And, I can't speak for everybody in any instance at all, but a vast majority of these people are doing these things or saying what they say is what they believe. Ariel, having spoken with her, I know she's a genuine person, so she's not carrying out some weird agenda to push something she doesn't believe in to negatively affect anybody else. You know what I mean? I think some people have to come back to reality. On the whole grand scheme of this right here, again, I do not blame anybody if they feel a way about SBI with some of the things that were said. From what I remember, I wish I could remember them verbatim, but I do not. But I don't blame you if you feel a way about that. I was in the previous chat, podcast where somebody in the chat was like, "Nope, I'm not supporting it because SBI." And I know this person isn't like that. He's not the type that's just hating black people or something like that, and not wanting to support it because it's a black-led character. So I understood his was genuine. His was coming from a place of not liking what SBI had said. So that's fair. You know what I mean? That is, to me, that's a fair thing. If he's like, no, I don't support them. Got it. That I think is fair. I think though that those who are feeling that way, like that person, for instance, just be mindful not to allow the grifters, the bigots and racists using you to latch on. If you see them saying something that's way too far gone, but they're trying to
They're gonna
claim
dial
what
it
you
back.
feel, dial it back, or at least correct them on the spot. Like, nope, I'm not with that. I'm just not supporting this. It's okay to say that. Just because they're kind of co-signing you doesn't mean you have to go along with it if they start saying some random, weird, uncouth shit, right?
Right.
Like, it's
You know
okay
what's-
to separate yourself from them.
Do you know what's a
And I do
really good
wanna-
question? I sort of
Sorry,
found.
go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but this is a question I've started asking people, to know whether it's worth having that conversation. Is DEI a bad thing? Do you have a problem with DEI? Like, not SBI, not Sweet Baby Inc., but do you have a problem with DEI? Like, do you not want DEI? Because I think it's turned into a word that means something else for other people. Like, it literally means diversity, equity, inclusion. Do you have a problem with diversity, equity, and inclusion? And I think if you there's nothing wrong with diversity, there's nothing wrong with equity, and there's nothing wrong with inclusion. And in fact, they are good things. And so if you are just not for diversity, equity, and inclusion, I don't know at that point, there's no point having a conversation with that person. Like, if you're against diversity, equity, and inclusion, if you don't like Sweet Baby Inc. and some of the things they've said and done, that's a conversation we can have. But if you're talking like diversity, equity, inclusion is a bad thing, well, in a great Australian saying is, you can go get fucked. As far as so,
I love that saying though. I wish we
there's
had it
lots of
here in
you-
New York.
Seems there's a lot of universal sayings involving that. So yeah, I agree.
What was that other one that you all said is not really from Australia? I'm not here to F spiders. Was that what is it? How does it go?
not here-
Yeah.
The spiders
not-
in Australia look like they have some rad in them. Like, holy shit.
They're from Fallout universe. Rat spiders.
oh, they
I
get
do have
big.
to say one thing though before we move on, because I think that especially for Elemental and anyone else who doesn't understand the chat, I'm a gaming journalist for a living. I'm also a video editor. I do YouTube content as well, but the main thing that I do is journalism. I don't feel like a lot of people don't understand how much crap we get and how much we get bunched in with terrible journalists. Like, I fought for a straight year and a half to get an article taken down about a friend of mine who was R-worded, and a journalist decided it was okay to put that up because she wanted to get an award. So no, we're not all the same. We don't all have vendettas, okay? And it's a really sad thing, because it's like, don't speak up about certain things because of my safety, because I am worried about my safety. And I can't if I could say about anything, I would talk about anything and everything all day, but I can't, because of things that would be done and just a certain thing. I can't even go into it that much, but just know that journalists aren't hiding things from you. We literally just can't talk about most of them.
Yeah, and it is a concern for safety. And I know we've had conversations in the background
Mhm.
where a lot of people have gone after Arielle and other journalists, especially over this GamerGate 2 thing. And look, this is the thing. Like, you can't just flip out at so like I'm not cool with quite a few journalists, but I'm cool with other journalists, and I pick and choose my people, and I don't group everyone into like every journalist is bad. I don't even group everyone at IGN into everyone at IGN is bad. I think that there's a lot of that happening, but there's just nuance around absolutely everything, and each individual is an individual. And what they are willing to do, what they think is purely individual and up to them. Donte, quickly jump to you, and then we'll jump out of this topic and jump into something a little bit more fun. Snazzy.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has. Everyone has said pretty much a lot of my thoughts, and what I appreciate is that we're having a very nuanced and an important conversation, and that no one's yelling and screaming at each other or trying to kind of overtalk each other. It's basically something that I wish more people would do, especially in the online conversations. In relation to like the whole like SBI stuff, like here's my thing with SBI, and like if someone has an issue with that, like imagine all the people out there that you consume some type of art from that probably if you knew something about them, you would not like them in terms of their stance and take on something, right? But there's like when there's a group that's making a product, it's just not just that one or two people from that particular company. There's a whole group that's making a particular product, and at the end of the day, like I said, it's these companies that are hiring these companies for the job. They're bringing in a company to do a particular job. So like I'm not going to go ahead and basically penalize the maker of Zao because of whatever feelings I had about somebody from SBI who said a thing that maybe I didn't agree with online. That to me doesn't quite make sense. I'm not holding a personal vendetta against a small company trying to basically get their passion project off the ground because I don't like something that someone at SBI said or what I think SBI stands for. To me, I don't think that's fair to the particular company that's just basically trying to get their product out for other people to enjoy. So it's this whole idea of we need to be able to have these conversations with some nuance. We can't continue to kind of just label something and say, oh, if it has that, then all of a sudden it equals bad. You hit it on the point about diversity, equity, inclusion. It's exactly what it means. So people need to stop making it something that it's not. The bad actors are doing that. That's their way of basically saying something racist without saying it, right? That's their way of saying, oh, them. That's basically what it is. Without saying a word that probably they say, in private amongst other people who are like-minded with them. So I like that we're having these convos. I just hope that over time, more people who actually don't agree with the bad actors can be more vocal and talking out against them, especially when something gets hijacked, like we've seen recently, and especially with Zao. Zao's like a perfect. It perfectly encapsulates what we were concerned about, what we were talking about weeks before, in terms of this getting hijacked and becoming what it's not. So, yeah, again, I feel terrible for them. I'm hoping that they'll end up turning some type of profit off of this and it becomes successful. But I feel that this completely just rained on their parade and became something that it should not have. And now a good game basically is going to get overshadowed by people just complaining on the internet and letting the bad actors basically win the conversation, and that part sucks.
Yeah, 110% agree. And Abubakar Salim's like a really nice dude. And I was following this game from the beginning, and it's just really disappointing to see it like be attacked the way it was for no good reason. It's really for no good reason. It's just really disappointing, and it really, to be honest, it pissed me off pretty hard. That's why I took to Twitter. And it's also why we are giving away 3 copies of Zao. And because the chat's not linking to the show, apologies, guys. I wasn't able to run the competition. I figured out what was going on. I couldn't link it. But while I was, we were all talking, I went through and then just picked people off the screen. I don't know if you guys saw me doing that. So Yudani Kazada, you've got a copy of Zao, sir, and you definitely deserve it with all your funny takes. Love you, Daddy. And Xbox and Mike, you also have a copy of Zao. I've got you guys written down. Please hit me up on Twitter or drop a link to your Twitter in the chat, and I'll head there and send you guys a code and let me know whether you want it on Steam or Xbox, and we'll send you out your code as soon as possible. One thing I will add as well, because there's one thing that is true, is that Abubakar Salim was listed on one of Sweet Baby Inc.'s companies, which is Baby Sakura, I think. I just want you just a little bit of common sense here, right? Pretty sure that he did not go through each of their Twitters and try to find tweets from 2008 that he didn't like, that he disagreed with. That wasn't what he was doing, right? So, like, you know what I mean? Just think a little bit, right? Have a bit of a think about this. Like, he's not going to go back, go, oh, they said something in 2008. I don't like it, and I'm not going to join their company. Right? It's probably an opportunity that came up. He liked them, talking to them. They're probably not bad people, just talking to them, right? Social media tends to dilute things. Yeah, we'll move on to the next topic, but just think a little bit before you guys flip out. Please, guys, hit the like button, share us out, subscribe. We go live every Friday at 8 p.m. EST. If you're in Australia, that is 11 a.m. in the East and 8 a.m. in the West Coast. Best Coast, jumping into the next topic, Meta goes third party. Now, this is a really interesting thing. So if you don't know what happened, Meta released a statement earlier in the week that they were opening up their platform to other hardware companies. So basically, they were decoupling the software that runs within the MetaQuest VR, and they were making it available for other hardware makers to start making their own VR headsets. This came by way of Tom Henderson. They're also making an Xbox inspired headset. I'm not sure if this thing works on the Xbox or if it's planned to, but they said we're working together again with Microsoft to create a limited edition MetaQuest inspired by Xbox. Said Meta in an announcement today. It's part of the Meta opening up its operating system that powers its Quest VR headsets to third-party hardware makers. Asus, Lenovo are already creating dedicated headsets to run with Meta Horizon, which is the OS. But the partnership with Microsoft sounds simply like it's a limited edition headset. This is interesting in more than one way. I personally really do. I like VR. I've spent a bit of time in VR. I know that not everyone on the panel does. I'd be interested to find out if Arielle does, but I really enjoy VR personally. But there's also other things that are sort of interesting from this. So, but I'll jump into them. So, Arielle, are you excited to see that VR, because VR has traditionally been a very walled garden, closed off, and I think it's hurt the development of VR going forwards, because, you know, obviously there's game here, there's game there, very much like the consoles, but with this opening up of the walled gardens, do you think that we'll see more of VR becoming a little bit more prevalent in the gaming scene, cheaper, more accessible for people? What do you think this means for you?
So just to preface, I can't play VR. It's sad. I get motion sickness very easily. So if I were to play VR, I don't want to throw up over somebody's new couch, you know? So it's so cool to see that they're doing an open source coding type situation where anyone who wants to be able to have the code to be able to go in and make their own games and do their own VR. I think that's absolutely awesome. I'm not a fan of Mark Zuckerberg by any means, but the guy's a fucking genius. The way he does a lot of the work that he does and the way that he's opening up opportunities for different companies, I think it's really, really cool. So yeah, I'm excited about this. I think it'll open a lot of opportunities for companies who want to get into VR, but we're worried about price structure and how it's going to be handled by different companies and the consumer. I think this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely is a great opportunity. It also leads into something else, which I'll circle back to. But Donte, sort of same question to you. Are you interested in VR? We don't have a girl blue number here who bought a PSVR 2 and never took it out the box, but are you interested in VR? Do you think this opens up shots
Shades
fired
of blue, unnecessary?
So wait, sorry, man. I need a little bit more information on this, because for some reason I was under the impression that this was more kind of like a branding thing. Like, here's an Xbox branded MetaQuest headset and maybe a what's name, but it's not like, this isn't Xbox is going to be able to get the ability to play VR games, though, right?
You're correct. Yeah.
Right.
It's
so,
just the
like,
branding.
So this means nothing to me. That's
we don't know if it doesn't quite yet say that it is, but it's a distinct possibility, because, as I said, they've opened up the OS. They've decoupled the OS from the Meta itself, and now other companies like Asus, Lenovo, Apple, if they wanted to, I assume, could take that OS and put it into their own bespoke hardware, and then instead of having one type of MetaQuest 3 that comes from MetaQuest, we'll have multiple different types of SKUs.
so To answer your question, if this becomes something where eventually you see the ability for certain VR games to be played within the Xbox ecosystem, then cool. Right now, I already have a VR headset, so I have brain is going slow right now, but basically the one from Steam. So I purchased that for my computer and my rig a long time ago. So I'm someone who enjoys VR, but I probably don't see myself playing it on console because I specifically got a more powerful computer to be able to handle what I wanted to do. So right now, though, it just at least seems to me that this is more kind of like, hey, here's the Xbox flavored headset where you're gonna have maybe like I don't know, Xbox colors and green or whatever the case is, and some controllers that goes along with it. Talk to me if Phil comes out and says that, like, yeah, we're going to open up some APIs or something to allow it to play certain games within the Xbox ecosystem. Until then, like, I'm already set. I don't think it's going to move the needle. To me, it seems more like a marketing thing for just some hardware at this moment.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Umbra, what do you think this is going to bring you to VR?
If you get not at all. Not at all. I have zero interest in VR. I have. What's that?
What was that? Darth Vader has entered the chat.
That's what I was going to say. Your lack of faith is disturbing.
Wait. Do you get sick, Umbra, when you play VR?
Not
sickness or anything like that?
I haven't gotten sick by it. I just get sick of trying to play it, I guess, if that makes sense. No,
what's a game that you've played that you felt was like a AAA experience in VR?
I couldn't really tell you lately because I haven't tried the more modern ones.
Tried Half-Life Alyx?
No, I haven't tried that yet.
All right. So I advise anyone who's interested in VR and to understand what it could be. To me, a game like Half-Life Alyx is kind of like the pinnacle of what I think it could be. The problem is that there's not enough companies out there that are making that level of quality for a AAA VR experience. But for someone to say, "Hey, I'm willing to invest with the hardware to basically get into VR," you got to have more games kind of like that within that realm, especially for people who enjoy playing AAA games. It has to be something close to Half-Life Alyx. That game right there, to me, is probably one of the best VR experiences, the most immersive gaming experiences I've ever have been through. But if you're someone who gets sick, it won't be for you. If you're someone who doesn't like wearing a headset for more than 30 minutes or 45 minutes, I can understand it may not be for you as well. So I get it.
I think it's a few of those things too. I don't want the headset on. I don't want to run around looking goofy while I'm swinging. Now, by the way, I've watched people do it, and my nephew has the MetaQuest 3, for instance, and I can easily play it right now if I want it. If I wanted to get that game and whatever, I could do that and play it. The problem for me is one, I have just no interest. And again, I don't care for how goofy you look around in it, just swinging at the air. I like a traditional handheld, situation with a controller. Also, too, those games are typically pretty small. Like Half-Life Alyx, I don't think is even that long of a game, is it? It's like 45 minutes, I heard, or something like that.
No.
It's not that one.
It's a full-fledged experience. It's like
a full-fledged one. Okay.
10, 12 hours. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe longer.
And you can only play it for so long before you start feeling away, though, right?
Well, no, not for me. I probably played it like 6 hours one day, but yeah.
Oh wow, you played it 6
hours. Some people I can understand like that's a lot, right? Some people can only do like an hour at a time before they start getting kind of like a vertigo effect. For me, I luckily don't have that, so for me it was kind of like it's just more of an issue of getting sweaty on your head and then your head eventually feeling like the weight of it, right? But yeah, Half-Life Alyx to me is like sitting down and playing a AAA experience with a controller right on our Xbox, but they put it in a virtual world where it's a story driven, completely dedicated to fleshing out the story from start to end. But there's just not enough games doing that, so that's why I don't see it taking off.
Well, even beyond that, for me, the problem also lies in there are not enough games like that, right? So why I wouldn't divest money into something like that, and again, for me, like I want something where it's going to have to be Ready Player One level, where I plug something into my head or something, and I'm transported into that world essentially. You know what I mean? Not having some device where I feel a device over my head or something. I'm sure the technology is going to get so crazy where it's going to just be like we're putting on sunglasses or something at a point, right? But until that time, I just have no interest in it whatsoever. And from what I understand, Risk, this is just branding. It's not a matter of them having their own specific device. We actually talked about this on Boom's podcast this past Tuesday. I remember looking into it. It's just a branding. It's not a Microsoft developed device or anything like that. They're just using they're just the branding for, I believe, Meta, whomever it was. I believe it was Meta.
Yeah. I mean, at the moment, that's what they've announced. I find it really odd that you would announce an Xbox branded headset for something that you can't use it on. It doesn't make any sense to me from that perspective. But there's also another reason why that I found this really, really interesting. And yeah, just before I jump onto that, Phantom 253, we've moved on to another topic, man. You're welcome to stick around. If you're going to keep this shit up, though, you'll be out. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. That was a weird comment. Like, yeah, move on, bro. Move on.
Yeah, I had just saw it and removed it myself. Listen, don't bring any of that nonsense in here with the politic talk. Like, keep that to yourself. This is just specifically for gaming right here, right now. Nobody want to hear all that. And
yeah, we ain't talking about
the craziest part is, like, you can say what you have to say much more normal than what you're doing, and we probably be like, okay, I can understand what you're saying. Just random wild stuff. Like, calm down, be normal.
Freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequence.
Yeah, he's trying to evoke an emotion. He's coming in and he's throwing in stuff to try to get the chat riled up and stuff. And it's like, nah, that's not what we're doing here. So let's keep it moving.
Yeah, and the chat, you guys have been absolutely fantastic, man. So I appreciate you guys being respectful through that entire conversation. But here's why I find this really interesting, right? Because I don't think this is any secret anymore that the Xbox runs on hypervisors, which is virtual machines. And there's 3 specific hypervisors that run the Xbox. The Xbox itself is really just a PC with an OS hypervisor, a virtual machine that sits within there. Basically a games launcher OS or hypervisor that sits within there as well. And then you have a back compat games launcher that's a hypervisor that sits within the Xbox. And we've just seen, right, and this is why it sort of is interesting to me. We've just seen MetaQuest decouple their OS from their hardware and make it available for other hardware producers. A lot of people gave us pushback when we were saying that we heard, and we did hear, that Xbox is working on this in the background. So whether it happens or not, there's a lot of licensing that's got to go along with it. But technically, we've heard that they have and can do it, right? So
do you think this idea of Xbox eventually opening up, like with the next hardware, basically trying to get access to like the Steam store and Epic store, you think this is part of it?
Yeah, I think. Well, I think they're
going to be, like the beginning stages is what I'm saying. So in the future, like, oh, if you want to, you can buy this such and such through Meta, which will be compatible with whatever the next hardware is.
Well, look, I don't think they're going to be working on decoupling hypervisors or decoupling the OS. We'll just call it the OS. We're decoupling the OS from the Xbox. I don't think they're going to be working on that long term, which they have been, if they hadn't planned to do exactly what Meta's done, right? Which is then just farm out the OS to different hardware companies like Asus or Lenovo or whoever wants to make an Xbox. You guys can make an Xbox that'll always be an Xbox, and here's all your stuff. Here's all your OS that sits on there, and then you can access Steam because we've done this with this box. I think, so like Asus might be like, we're opting just to make a pure Xbox. And Lenovo might be like, okay, cool. We've got the Xbox OS that sits over here, but you can also access Steam over here. And I think the licensing would be less of a hazardous sort of thing for those companies than it would be for Xbox. But again, they wouldn't be doing this in the background if they weren't looking at doing it, right? So I found it really interesting when Meta did it. Like, it sort of seems like a future thing. Sorry, you jump in?
You're saying specifically for this alleged for the VR, you're saying?
No, I'm talking about the
Yeah, now if you're just talking about the future of the console, if they're doing a hypervisor thing, that's one thing. But they're not going to make a dedicated device. They're just not going to do it. If it's going to be Meta, whomever doing a thing, sure. they'll brand with them, but they're
No,
just
no, just
Microsoft isn't going to.
remove VR from the conversation. So just removing the VR, but
Yeah.
just because Meta's done exactly what we've heard Xbox is doing in the background. I find it really interesting. I mean, we're talking about a tech industry that handles gaming, right? So it's gaming as a whole, right? Then we've just seen one of the biggest companies that handles VR do exactly what we've heard Xbox is doing in the background, but we haven't seen it from Xbox. There's been no announcements. And a lot of people push back on it, right? Saying that, well,
it can't happen and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have the player base for it, right? But the VR player base for MetaQuest would be a hell of a lot smaller than Xbox. And so it seems like it would be worth it to these hardware companies. Lenovo and Asus are already picking up the MetaQuest hardware, and they're building for it now. So if this can happen for MetaQuest, I guess the point that I was getting to is I think that we could see this for Xbox in the future. And I think
talking about for the console itself,
right.
You're saying.
Yeah, for the console itself.
Yeah, for sure. I'm pretty much sold on the idea. To me, it feels like it's true already. I don't doubt that vision one bit. I think that's what's going to happen. So, yeah. As far as the VR part is what I'm like, Microsoft has no real commitment to that. And I don't think they should. It's too niche.
What if Meta decided to make their own console?
Yeah. They probably imagine Mark Zuckerberg boots up his face when you load the game up.
Like, no, remember the movie The Social Network, where on the card it was like, I'm the CEO of Facebook, bitch. Imagine him just saying that when you every time you turn on the console, this is Meta, bitch.
And they're gonna play Britney Spears music with him behind it. Ding, 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 ding. Give me.
Turn me on one more time.
Right. When it holds his face up, though, it's gonna have one of those. What do they call a little avatar he had of himself that was made? A digital avatar. It's gonna have him dancing or something.
Oh my god! Not the amiibos.
Yeah, I forgot what they called it, but he had one that was made of him, like it's supposed to have been a part of that, like VR world thing or something. I forgot the name of it.
Oh,
Just looked bizarre.
Yeah, so I mean, just going back to the decoupling of the hypervisors, I think that I see a future of this happening just sort of all throughout with the shift of exclusivity for Xbox and all this. And this is how it runs, then I'm 110% for it. I also think, Umbra, that you'll see Asus or Lenovo or one of these tech companies, even Meta, do a headset for the Xbox. I think that that's a definite possibility. When we were in Donte, when we were sitting down with Jason Ronald for, I don't know if you remember this, but sitting down for dinner.
At dinner?
He asked directly, like, what do you guys think about VR? Do you guys see that as being a thing in the future? So it's on their minds. I know that they were talking about it or they were thinking about it. If he's asking us those questions,
I don't think it could be you can't be a large gaming company and not have your eyes or ears to the wall listening to see what like people want to do, right? What people want to play. So you got to be thinking about it. I think also though they probably looked at PSVR and basically said, "Hey, us not getting into this right now was the right call, because diverting resources for that where it could be used for something else where there's not a big enough audience of people who are going to basically say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and purchase hardware to play VR on my console." I think it was a smart move on Xbox's point. So for that decision, I thought that was cool. Leave it for right now for PC mainly, and we're just not there yet. Like say, a lot of people don't like wearing a headset for too long. A lot of people prefer just sitting in front of a couch or whatnot. And I think until you kind of can solve for having something that's comfortable to wear for periods of time, and at the same time, like those who get sick off of it, solves that issue, which I don't know if you can. It's not something that you should that we can think is mainstream enough for Xbox themselves to say we're dedicating building hardware for it. Letting someone third party come in who's already kind of built a following and has put a lot of resources into it, like Meta, makes more sense to me as opposed to Microsoft doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely think that's how they'll go with it. I don't think Xbox is going to have any interest in building their own hardware, but it would be cool to see them bring in Meta as well. And I just found it really interesting that we, like, as we were talking about this last over the last few months during all that exclusive debacle. And then we heard about the whole hypervisor thing that, Metaverse went ahead and actually did that. So, I mean, it seems to be a strategy we'll see. Well, remains to be seen if it works. We'll just quickly jump to you, Arielle. Are you a big fan of VR?
Well, no, I said previously that I can't because I get motion sickness if I play it.
Oh, right. Sorry. I must have missed that while I was picking winners from there. Or doing something over here. So easy. I'll jump on to the next topic. So Embracer breaks up with itself.
Not surprised.
I found this sort of this ongoing saga of Embracer has been actually, I initially thought, I'm going to call myself out here and say I initially thought that Embracer, when they were starting to do this, was a good thing back during the sort of the COVID period. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, these guys seem to care about gaming. They're buying up these AA studios. They must have the money so they can produce some AAA games out of AA studios. This is a good thing. How wrong I was. I was 110% wrong about this. So they've split themselves into 3 separate entities. It'll operate under, so they'll continue to operate as a publisher and distributor of board games. So hang on, let me just jump back. Sorry. Blah, 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 blah. They'll separate into 3 companies: Asmodee, Coffee Stain, and Friends, and Middle Earth Enterprise and Friends.
They literally called themselves a stain. That's perfect.
Coffee Stain and Friends, Middle Earth Enterprises, and Friends. There's some interesting naming conventions. So Coffee Stain and Friends will focus on PC, console, and mobile gaming, including community-driven free-to-play games, live ops games, and indie AA games. It will operate under premium and free-to-play divisions. The premium segment will consist of Coffee Stain, which is THQ Nordic, Ghost Ship, Tuxedo Labs, Tarsia, Amplifier, Game Invest, and others. And finally, Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends will be a creative powerhouse in AAA game development and publishing for PC and console, and will own the Lord of the Rings and Tomb Raider IPs, along with the likes of Dead Island, Metro, and Kingdom Come Deliverance. Ooh, I don't know how I feel about this. This seems like it's going to be another fuck up. So Arielle, jumping to you.
This company single-handedly got rid of hundreds of new IPs, canceled canceled so many other types of games, and let people go without work. I think 2,000 jobs were lost under Embracer Group. This is a company that not only bit off more than it could chew, but it took everything that it was given, all of the just potential that it had with all of these companies and all of these development groups. It just squandered all of it. It gave people the promise of like a really cool job and just was like, no, we don't have the money to pay. They basically gave the middle finger to the gaming industry.
Yeah. I think bit off more than they can chew is a very good way to put it. They were going to get some of that.
For the fact that one of their development companies is called Coffee Stain, it's ironic in and of itself.
Do you think that this is going to be a new step forward for them, though? Do you think they've now decided, they've sort of looked at their company with the restructuring, they're going to be able to start putting in, the resources into the development studios that we need, or they need to get the job done, to get the games out the door? You think this is going to be another misstep?
It's going to be another misstep heavily. They're going to, because old habits die hard for a lot of companies that just want money. This company just wants money purely, and they're going to do anything in order to get it. Look at what they did to the 2,000 people they fired. Look at the companies that were let go and hundreds of IPs that were lost. They could have made millions of dollars off of new IPs and trailers that were already out, mind you. There were so many trailers that came out and promises of new games, and nothing. This happened back in 2021 or 2022. I forget which year it was, but there was so much that happened, and then they were just like, whoopsie. And I'm expecting in another 2 years to have another whoopsie, and the same old story is going to occur again.
Right, yeah. So they've cancelled 29 unannounced games and shut 7 studios within 6 months. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's a lot of talent that's been sort of taken out of the industry. A lot of games that have been taken off the table. So disappointing. I'm still going to remain optimistic on this one. I know you don't feel like you are. I'm just going to say, like, hopefully this restructuring is the thing that they get right. Because look, they have Focus, who is one of their publishing arms, and they have really produced some great AA games, and they've got some good ones coming down the pipe. So I'm hoping that those good ones like Space Marine 2 sort of give them an uplift that they need, and then they can start bringing out some quality and start focusing on, making good games.
Didn't they, the group that's making for Space Marine, didn't they kind of do their own thing? Didn't they let them?
Oh, God damn it. Yeah, they got sold off, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's it. Embrace as fuck. Nice. Damn it. Where's that? Donte, thank you for crushing all of my dreams, hopes and dreams.
Oh, good. Sorry, man. I'm here for that. Sorry. Yo, this is a shit show. Sorry. I don't know how else to say it. Look at the people who are concerned about large acquisitions. This is what you are concerned with. So I can understand anyone's take when they were worried about Microsoft purchasing basically Bethesda and Microsoft purchasing ABK. Like, you get these companies, they buy up too much, and then if something doesn't work, all of a sudden they're shuttling games. Employees are getting laid off, and this is like that case scenario where you're like, oh man, this is what we're concerned with about companies buying up too much. And from Embracer's standpoint, like Microsoft, I generally believe more so like they care about the gaming side of it. They understand the importance of gaming to their business model, on top of the fact that they got gamers who work within the company. Where I felt like Embracer's move was more kind of like, this is more about revenue. It's about purchasing. Gaming's hot and big, especially coming up with like what was happening in the pandemic. It's about revenue and basically growing, basically just growing their business. So then that $2 billion deal that they had kind of falls through, and then now we're seeing kind of the repercussions of that with them shuttling a lot of games, like Arielle mentioned, and then all the people who got laid off in the process. This does not, sure, restructuring generally is a way to kind of try to stem the bleeding and try to refocus certain groups to do what they're best at. Like looking at the different groups, that you're right, Asmodee, their board games company and trading cards, not really my thing. Coffee Stain is more about PC and mobile, not really my thing. The only one I really would care about is the Middle Earth Enterprises section, right? Because they're the AAA games, so Tomb Raider, and then they got Crystal Dynamics as one of the studios. So I care about that section of it. But I'm still worried about them, man. They have more proving to do than anything. Because so far what they showed us is that this is the ugly side of capitalism when it doesn't work out properly. And then it's kind of like, well, how many games and good people have been lost in the fray of them just buying up a bunch of people that maybe could have survived if they could have remained independent? We don't know. I eventually imagine Jason Schreier will write some long in-depth article, or there'll be some type of expose about what's happening with Embracer. But as of right now, like, I don't have much faith on this. This is a wait and see. And for the most part, maybe even that's the case for Microsoft right now. But if I'm weighing, I'm putting a little bit more faith in Microsoft and what they're trying to do with ABK and Bethesda than I am putting any faith in what Embracer's trying to do. I'm just hoping that Crystal Dynamics survives in the process. If they get let go, I hope then they can get absolved, get brought on by another company that actually would use their talents properly. Probably not Microsoft, but someone who actually cares about gaming. This is kind of an L, man. It's an L for Embracer.
But also, think about this. We see this trend lately in the gaming industry of where a lot of games that should be either remade or get an FPS boost or graphics input boost, we're not seeing any of those games being touched, like Blood Rain. We saw a minimal, little tiny remake for that one. And this is not to compare, by the way, Embracer to other companies, by no means, but we're seeing this trend lately of where the IPs that should matter, they don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, there's no care for like the ones that people have some type of attachment to.
Like Bloodborne.
Yeah. Do something with this. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing as well. But like some of those games that they have been remaking have been out of the conversation for, good in their day, but out of the conversation for so long, and no one's talking about them. But as you pointed out, Bloodborne is just a game that constantly comes up as but that's sort of on PlayStation to get that remade, and that I don't think that's ever going to happen with From sort of powering ahead with what they've got. I don't
Listen,
know
don't
if they
break
can
my
hand.
heart, please.
I mean, they could hand it off to Blue Point, but I think that's IP owned by From.
Yes.
So From would have to cut a deal with PlayStation, and I don't know if that
I
would
don't
be.
see From ever letting someone touch Bloodborne. I don't ever foresee a future where that happens unless they get bought out by someone where they have no choice. I don't ever foresee that happening.
Yeah, it's a sad day for us FromSoft fans.
Umbra.
Umbra.
Have I dropped out?
No,
Yeah, well,
what happened to Umbra?
I can hear you, but we lost Umbra. Umbra.
Okay, I'm back.
We back. He's back. Let's go.
You guys can't hear anything, but I'll jump to you.
Yeah, you sounded echoey.
I don't know if you guys can hear.
You sounded echoey. I can hear you, but you sound a little echoey, like you're like one of your main mic cut out or something like that.
Oh no, we lost Riskit.
Like
what's happening to this podcast?
Like your computer mic, as opposed to your official mic.
What was the main question on this part here for me?
Riskit, blink twice if you need help.
Riskit, if you like to dip chicken in Coca-Cola, just tell me. I got you hooked up, okay?
Sorry. So, Umbra, the question was about Embracer. What's your thoughts on their reorganization?
It's funny. I feel like I've talked about this Embracer situation about 4 times this week, but it's only been like once, I guess, maybe twice. I don't know. Anyway, it's weird to me because initially when I saw it makes me feel like Embracer is just staving off, the inevitable, which that they're going to go under. That's what it still feels like in a lot of ways. It does put me in mind of what Microsoft did with Toys for Bob, where suddenly Toys for Bob is a free agent and they didn't have to pay to get from under Microsoft somehow. It made me feel like Microsoft allowed them to void that part of the contract and be free, but with the caveat of them working on some Microsoft IP, right? So this puts me in mind of that, where they're doing this to stave off the inevitable, but also possibly to keep these other publishers they have there intact without having to let all of them go and have them, be disbanded and fired all across the board. I'm not sure how it's all going to work out. I know at first I was confused too about the names, the Asmodee and the Coffee Stain and Friends, and then the Middle Earth one and whatever it was. What was it? Middle Earth
Enterprises. Yeah,
and Friends.
Studio.
Yeah, I like the approach of it. The more I looked into it, the more I read into it, the more I was like, okay, this possibly could work into something. I like the only thing I found weird was some of the naming conventions. I get why they're naming it that way because those are like the major games for among the company, but I just thought it was odd to name it that specifically. But yeah, I think also the way it's centered, they're going to have their own CEOs or whatever, or specific people running it. So I guess it's also an effort to take it directly out of just the Embracer Group's hand and give them specific roles and metrics that they have to meet as far as sales or whatever it is. So that's what I'm going to guess. So hopefully, listen, I don't know if it's going to fail or not. I still get the feeling that they're just, staving off what's going to happen one way or another, personally. But, I wish them the best. I will say, though, it would be a crazy shame if Microsoft wasn't able to jump in there and grab Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal once things go away. I hope that if things do go sour and they have to, let people go or let developers go or sell anybody off, I'm hoping that Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal make their way to Xbox for a few reasons. One of them, obviously, they would get the licensing for Deus Ex. They would get it for Tomb Raider. They would get who else would it be? They would get Crystal Dynamics themselves, who are helping to work on Perfect Dark in-house. And I think Crystal Dynamics is a very solid studio. But yeah, so we'll see how it works out. I just don't know if I have the faith in Embracer to make it past this, but we'll see.
But let me ask you a question, man. Do you think that it's died down enough in terms of all the noise from ABK that let's say if that happened within the next year or two, where Crystal Dynamics or Eidos was up for sale, that Microsoft would feel like, okay, we can pull the trigger on this?
You know,
you think they're still in kind of like, let's be cautious mode, let's not trigger any additional stuff from the FTC?
If it wasn't for what we recently saw with Microsoft's quarter reports, some of the things Satya had said, and how some of it is looking kind of dire in some ways, I don't know. I would think that with Satya being basically more or less saying we're going to bring more over this initiative, blah blah blah. That's what it sounded like to me. So I'm going to take it that maybe they wouldn't, because they want to get their ROIs, they want to get their return on investments, and I don't know if they feel like they're getting it necessarily. So maybe they might hold off on buying more and try to work with what they have. That would be my thinking. I don't know if it'll be an issue with them worrying about the FTC or whatever, or the CMA. I just don't know. I feel like maybe Microsoft proper themselves have changed what Phil's possible goal was now. And I think they're beholden to the shareholders and Satya in saying, hey, nope, we're not doing that anymore. Now we need to earn some of this money back. So I don't know. I don't think they would. You back, Riskit,
are you back with us?
My damn thing's muted. Gosh darn it. Stuck out here in the wind.
I think Umbra's technical difficulties got contagion all over your technical difficulties.
It's spreading.
I passed it on to you.
It's not the zombie apocalypse. It's the technical problem apocalypse.
Just literally booted me out. I was like, what the? So I had to reset everything. But yeah, look, I agree with what Umbra was saying there, though. I don't think it's a point of like, could they? I think I think they could definitely get away with doing it through the FTC, depending on the size of the acquisition. I think they sold for $300 million was Eidos, Montreal, and Crystal Dynamics. I don't know if that's a big enough monetary value size of an acquisition for it to hit the FTC's radar. I guess if you're taking into ABK into consideration as well, which they likely would, maybe, but I don't think it's a problem with that. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is more, is that what they want to do? Is that their continuing strategy? Do they want to acquire more companies? I don't really know if they do, man. And to be honest, we haven't seen any benefit from ABK as of yet, really. You've seen Diablo 4 hit Game Pass, and that's about it. Now, we may see something coming up in the June showcase. You might even see something at ID at Xbox, which we were going to talk about, but I think we're running short on time. But at the minute, me personally, as much as I would love to see them acquire, Crystal Dynamics, I just don't think now's the time. I think they need to focus on what they're doing and get that right. And once that's right, they can sort of move on to, further acquisitions. Unless Embracer put Crystal and Eidos on the table and someone else is going to snap it up, then I would say Xbox, get those studios straight away. We've had a lot of technical issues this show. We're gonna have to really do some work in the background and see if I can get this sort of fixed up. But it's been a fantastic show. We talked about some great topics and had some good conversations. Arielle, it was fantastic to have you on. An hour's notice, you jumped in. You absolutely killed it. Really appreciate you coming through. Just want to tell everyone in the chat, you guys have been amazing too. And if you want to find any one of the guests or panel members, you can find their links down in the description. And Arielle's is really easy because she has a link tree that you can just click to and they're all there. But please let the guys know what you do, what you're up to, what your plans are in the near future, and what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, so I do a lot of content over on YouTube. I'm a Souls and Souls-like content creator. I do podcasts as well. I do game reviews as well. Currently working on my review for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's already made me cry several times, that's just wonderful. Yeah, almost done with that game. Currently reviewing it, and that should be up actually in the next week or so. But yeah, people want to subscribe there. Feel free. It's Huggable Hipster. I'm also on Twitter, causing mayhem, or mostly just talking about how much I love pineapple pizza. Yeah, pretty much it. I'm just working on a bunch of reviews right now. I have like 8 or 9 different reviews that I'm working on.
That's where the most toxic trolls are, pineapple pizza. Just yeah, that's where you're gonna have the most problems. So be careful with that information. Donte, another fantastic show, man. Let people know where they can find you, what you'll be up to, what you're looking forward. Talk about your Boozy Box Office podcast.
The Boozy
Has
Box
that gone to
Office
YouTube yet?
podcast. No,
Is that
not yet, man. It's taking a little longer than I thought. We're still trying to get stuff backed up. So once it's there, though, I will let you know. But yeah, Boozy Box Office podcast. Right now, we're still on Spotify. You can find us there, and then obviously you can find me here every Friday with the best panel. Arielle, thank you again so much. It's always so awesome to speak with you and have you on. So it's just great to get your insight. And I just wanted to make sure earlier that you always feel comfortable in being able to kind of speak your mind. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we want you to, but at the same time, I understand things that you feel would bring in the wrong crowd. So I get that as well. Outside of that, you can catch me on Twitter, Donte J Moody, and then on Xbox Spriggan113. Panel, you guys are always the best. I know Blue's out there doing work stuff, so we'll see you later, Blue. Everybody within the chat, man, you guys are the best. You guys are really awesome. So I appreciate you guys. You guys always have really cool conversations. People keep it nice and respectful. So shout out to the chat again for just basically being one of the most awesome chats I ever come across. And I check in on a lot of different podcasts, and this one's always one of the best ones. So yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, absolutely. Chat was awesome. We had a couple of bad actors, but they've been put in timeout and they're going to stay there until they behave themselves. Umbra, another fantastic show. Let people know where they can find you, what you'd be up to. Talk about the fix, and what's happening for you this week.
Yes, sir. Nothing major happening more this week, I don't think. You know what? No, Loke did invite me to his show Sunday, so I'll see. I'll see how I feel. But other than that, yes, you can find me on Twitter, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. The fix was pretty good this week, I have to say, if I do say so myself. Although it was a bit long, it's about 2 hours and 30 something minutes. Anyway, I got to do timestamps for that still. It was really good. I am going to be playing some Stellar Blade and
Hell yeah.
Tales of Kenzara.
Let's go.
Yeah. Can I get to the yams? Yeah. Sweet yams. Can't wait. You can't. Oh, yeah. That music fits perfectly too. So I got my cocoa butter lotion ready. Riskit. No, I'm joking.
Jesus Christ. I swear to everything unholy.
Right. No, but yeah, you guys in the chat, much love to you all. Thank you very much for being here with us and holding us down. Man, thank you, panel, of course. Arielle, thank you for joining us again. It's always fun to hear from you and talk with you. Of course, we appreciate you.
Thank
I know
you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely get why you feel the way you do. Yeah, like Donte, I think he said it best already. So yeah, we got you. We got your back 100%.
Ugly kisses to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, thank you for joining us, guys. See you guys next week. I am tired too, by the way. I'm going to hit the bed after this, probably.
Get some sleep, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to give me some rest.
And for myself, I'll just say Udani Quizada, I already have you on Twitter. Scorpio's already hit me up, but Xboxer Mike, I'll look you up on Twitter, but if not, hit me up and I will send you your copy of Zao. We didn't give away the coins this week because the giveaway is not working and I'm having tech issues. I thought that this would alleviate all those tech issues. Everyone in the chat, thank you for sticking with us while I'm having these tech issues. I promise you one day we will have none. But I'll work through them until then. Appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you guys next week or in the next video. Hit like and subscribe. Go live 8 p.m. every Friday. See you guys.